All right, get ready to journey to the land of Vikings and gods and epic tales.
Sounds exciting.
Today's deep dive is all about Norse mythology, and you've brought along a Handbook of Norse Mythology by Carl Mortensen
Yeah,
as our guide,
it's
so
a great choice.
fantastic for this topic.
We all know about the Greek gods lounging on Mount Olympus, but the Norse pantheon,
Yeah.
they face a much more dramatic fate.
Definitely dramatic. While other mythologies often focus on immortality, Norse mythology really grapples with the inevitability of Ragnarok, the end of days. Even the gods aren't exempt from this.
Right. It's a world where fate looms large, and that's reflected right from the start in the creation myth. We've got this chaotic void, Gnunga gap, where fire and ice clash,
Right.
and out of it emerges a giant and a cow.
Precisely. The giant Ymir and the primeval cow Audhumla. And Mortensen highlights just how bizarre this image is. Audhumla nourishes herself by licking salty, frost-covered stones, and her milk sustains Ymir. It's a far cry from the elegant creation myths of other cultures.
It's definitely memorable. And then things get even wilder when the gods arrive on the scene.
Absolutely. Bor and his sons, Odin, Vili, and Ve, slay Ymir, and from his body they craft the world. His blood becomes the sea, his flesh the earth, his bones the mountains.
Wow.
Even his eyebrows form Midgard, the realm of humans.
Talk about making the most of it. It's a powerful image. This idea that the world we inhabit was literally born from the body of a giant. What do you think this says about the Norse worldview?
I think it speaks to their understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Nothing is wasted. Everything has a purpose, even in death. And it sets the stage for this world where gods and giants are constantly vying for power, a world built on a foundation of primordial conflict.
So from this chaotic beginning, we get the structured realm of Asgard, home of the gods.
Right.
And of course, it's connected to Midgard by the iconic Bifrost, that shimmering rainbow bridge.
Ah, Bifrost, a symbol of connection, but also of fragility. What's fascinating to me is that Thor, with all his strength, chooses to ford the rivers beneath Bifrost rather than risk damaging the bridge with his mighty chariot. That's a detail that could easily be overlooked, but it really speaks volumes. You'd think the god of thunder wouldn't hesitate to just, well, thunder across.
It suggests a level of respect, even reverence for the delicate balance of the cosmos. Thor's strength is immense, but even he recognizes the need for caution and restraint. It's a reminder that power in Norse mythology is often tempered by wisdom.
That makes sense considering who we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Odin the All-Father, a god of wisdom, as much as he is a god of war and magic.
Right.
It's no wonder he values a bit of forethought.
Exactly. And then we have Thor, the boisterous thunder god, forever protecting Asgard from giants with his hammer Mjolnir. But let's not forget Frey, a god of peace and prosperity.
Right.
He brings a much-needed element of harmony to the mix.
That's right. And then there's poor Baldur, the god of beauty and light, whose story is just tragic.
Yeah,
It really underscores that Norse fascination with fate, doesn't it?
absolutely. Baldur's death, orchestrated by the trickster Loki, is a pivotal event. It's a reminder that even in this world of gods and monsters, fate can be cruel and inescapable.
And speaking of Loki, he's always up to something, isn't he?
Always.
Creating chaos during the pot, but also sometimes inadvertently helping the gods. It's a complex role.
He's the ultimate agent of change, pushing the narrative forward, even if it means causing a bit of mischief along the way. And without him, let's be honest, the stories wouldn't be nearly as interesting.
Definitely not. Now, I've always been fascinated by Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain, where Odin's chosen warriors feast and fight for eternity. It's a pretty hardcore afterlife, even for Vikings.
It's a reflection of the warrior culture that permeated Norse society. Valhalla isn't just a paradise, it's a place of constant struggle and preparation for Ragnarok.
Wow.
These warriors are essentially training for the ultimate battle, even in death.
I guess there's no rest for the wicked or the incredibly brave.
Right.
So we've got these powerful gods dwelling in Asgard, facing down giants and preparing for the end of the world.
But what about the stories themselves?
What are some of the myths and tales that really capture the essence of Norse mythology? Well, you can't talk about Norse mythology without mentioning the story of how Asgard's wall was built. It's a classic tale of trickery and a really, really big horse.
Right. A giant offers to build the wall in exchange for the sun, the moon, and Freyja, the goddess of love. The gods surprisingly agree, but with a catch. He has to finish the job in an impossibly short amount of time.
And, of course, the giant almost succeeds, thanks to his incredibly strong horse, Svadilfari. I mean, who wouldn't underestimate a magical horse when it comes to construction?
What's fascinating is how the myth highlights the resourcefulness of the gods. Loki, in a rare moment of helpfulness, transforms himself into a mare to distract Svadilfari, ensuring the giant fails to meet the deadline.
There's always a trickster angle in these stories, isn't there? Speaking of tricksters and giants, we can't forget the tale of Thor's hammer being stolen by the giant Thrym.
Ah, yes. This myth showcases Thor's strength and cunning in equal measure. To get his hammer back, he disguises himself as Freyja, a plan concocted by Loki naturally, and attends a mock wedding with Thrym.
The image of Thor, this massive, muscular god, dressed as a bride and feigning shyness, never fails to amuse me. But it also underscores the lengths to which the gods were willing to go to maintain cosmic order.
Precisely. The theft of Mjolnir wasn't just a prank, it represented a disruption of the natural order, a threat that the gods couldn't ignore. And Thor's willingness to embrace such an outlandish plan shows how seriously they took this threat.
And then there's Thor's fishing trip with the giant Ymir, where he hooks the Midgard serpent.
Oh, yeah.
That's a story that really captures the epic scale of Norse mythology. Mortensen describes Hymir's terror as Thor pulls this colossal serpent from the sea. It's a scene that's both terrifying and awe-inspiring.
It speaks to the Norse fascination with the untamed forces of nature. The Midgard serpent embodies the chaotic power of the sea, a force that even the gods must confront.
And of course, no discussion of Norse mythology would be complete without addressing the tragedy of Baldur's death. Yeah. It's a story that's both heartbreaking and deeply philosophical.
Mortensen suggests that Baldur's death, brought about by Loki's deception and the refusal of a single giantess to weep for him, reflects the Norse understanding of the capricious nature of fate. Even the most beloved, the most innocent, are not exempt from its grasp.
It's a stark contrast to the more predictable fates of the gods in other mythologies. But it sets the stage perfectly for the ultimate fate of the Norse world Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods.
Exactly. Ragnarok isn't just the end. It's the culmination of all these myths and legends, the inevitable conclusion to this cosmic drama. It's an event that's been foreshadowed from the very beginning.
So walk us through it. What happens when the world ends? Norse mythology style. What should we picture?
Well, first comes Fimbulwinter, a 3-year-long winter that grips the world in ice and darkness. Society crumbles, morality decays, and chaos reigns. It's a pretty bleak picture, even before the main event begins.
And then the real fun starts, right?
Then the chains binding the monstrous wolf Fenrir snap, and the Midgard serpent rises from the depths, triggering earthquakes and tsunamis. It's a full-on apocalypse. The final battle takes place on the plain of Vigrid, where the gods, led by Odin, clash with the forces of chaos giants, monsters, and the fire demon Surt.
So it's a pretty epic showdown. Do the gods manage to pull off a last-minute victory?
Here's where Norse mythology takes a truly unique turn. The gods fight valiantly, but they know they're doomed. Ragnarok isn't a battle they can win, it's a destiny they must embrace.
Wow, even Thor. I mean, he's basically a superhero.
Even Thor. He slays the Midgard serpent, but succumbs to its venom, taking 9 steps before falling dead. Odin is swallowed whole by Fenrir, and Surt engulfs the world in flames. It's a complete and utter destruction of the cosmos as they know it.
It's almost nihilistic. What's the point of fighting if even the gods are fated to lose?
That's where the concept of cyclical time comes in. Ragnarok isn't the end. It's a new beginning. From the ashes of the old world, a new one emerges, filled with a new generation of gods and humans.
So it's less about winning or losing and more about the eternal cycle of creation and destruction. It's a pretty profound concept.
It is, and it suggests that even in the face of ultimate destruction, there's hope. The world might end, but it will also be reborn. And in that rebirth, there's the possibility for a new start, a chance to learn from the mistakes of the past.
It makes you wonder if the Norse people saw Ragnarok as something to fear, or as a necessary part of the natural order of things.
It's a question that likely has a complicated answer, but I think it's safe to say that both fear and acceptance played a role in shaping their beliefs.
Okay, so we've covered these huge cosmic events, the creation of the world, the dramatic battles between gods and giants, and the ultimate destruction and rebirth of everything. But what about the people who told and retold these stories? What can we learn about their everyday lives and beliefs?
Well, one thing that sets Norse mythology apart is the idea of personal spirits, like guardian spirits,
Right.
known as Fylgja.
Danger, yeah.
These spirits often took the form of animals and were believed to be connected to an individual's fate. It's almost like a guardian spirit, but with a stronger link to destiny. The Fylgja could offer warnings or guidance, and its appearance, a fierce bear, a cunning fox, a watchful raven, could reveal something about a person's character or future.
It makes you wonder if the Vikings were constantly looking over their shoulders for their spirit animal.
Right.
And it wasn't just about personal spirits, right?
Uh-huh.
Even luck was personified in Norse mythology.
Exactly. They have this concept called hemingja, which Mortensen describes as a personified form of luck or fortune. It was almost like a separate entity that accompanied you, influencing your success and well-being.
So if you were about to go into battle or set sail on a dangerous voyage, you'd want to make sure your Haningja was in good shape.
Absolutely. And interestingly, hemingja could be strengthened or weakened by your actions. It wasn't just random chance, it was a force that could be cultivated through peerage, honor, and right action.
That's a very different way of thinking about luck than just, finding a four-leaf clover. It adds a layer of responsibility.
It does. And it also suggests that luck wasn't just a personal attribute. Hemingja could be shared or even inherited, which might explain why certain families or clans were seen as particularly fortunate.
It's like having good karma running in the family. And of course, we can't forget about the Norns, those three powerful women who weave the threads of fate even for the gods.
The Norns are fascinating figures. They represent past, present, and future, and their decisions are absolute. Even Odin, with all his knowledge and power, can't escape their decrees.
It really highlights that sense of inevitability that permeates Norse mythology. But within that framework of fate, individuals still had agency, right? Their choices mattered.
That's a crucial point. The Norns might set the overall course, but individuals still had the freedom to choose how they responded to the challenges and opportunities presented to them.
It's like they had a predetermined path, but how they walked that path with courage, wisdom, or recklessness was ultimately up to them.
Exactly. And this tension between fate and free will plays out in the heroic sagas, those epic tales that were so central to Norse culture.
The Volsungs saga is a prime example, right? A tale of cursed treasure, a dragon, a hero, and a whole lot of tragedy.
It's a story that has it all: love, betrayal, revenge, and the struggle against seemingly insurmountable odds. But at its core, the Volsunga saga is a meditation on the nature of fate and the consequences of our choices.
Sigurd the hero slays the dragon Fafnir, but he's also driven by greed and ambition, which ultimately leads to his downfall. It's a classic cautionary tale.
Right. And it's a reminder that even the greatest heroes are not immune to the pitfalls of human nature. And then we have the story of Helgi Jorvarthson and Svafa, a tale of love that transcends death, but is ultimately doomed by fate.
These sagas are so rich and complex, they offer a glimpse into the values and beliefs of the Norse people, their emphasis on honor, courage, loyalty, and their acceptance of the often harsh realities of life.
And they remind us that even within a world governed by fate, there's still room for love, heroism, and the struggle to forge one's own destiny.
So we've journeyed from the creation of the world to its destruction and rebirth, encountered gods and giants, explored myths and sagas, and delved into the beliefs that shaped the lives of the Norse people. It's an incredible tapestry of stories, and it leaves us with a lot to ponder.
It does. And what strikes me is how relevant these ancient tales still feel today. We might not believe in gods and monsters in the same way, but we still grapple with questions of fate, free will, the nature of good and evil, and the search for meaning in a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable.
These myths offer us a lens through which to view our own lives and struggles. They remind us that even in the face of overwhelming forces, we have the power to choose how we respond, to fight for what we believe in, and to make our own mark on the world.
And they remind us that even in endings, there's the potential for new beginnings. It's a message that resonates across centuries, cultures, and belief systems.
Norse mythology is a powerful testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the human need to make sense of the world around us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the land of Vikings, gods, and epic tales. We'll leave you with a final thought from the Havamal, a collection of wisdom sayings attributed to Odin. Cattle die, kindred die, every man is mortal, but the good name never dies of one who has done well. Perhaps that's the ultimate victory in a world where even the gods face